gotten here for that very first series. Now I think we get to see these teams stretch their legs and see the full breadth of what they are capable of.
Two-time EUL champs being virtus.pro, Wolves consistent third place, LCQ. Wolves are good. No one can deny that, especially in the group stage, taking big maps, big victories off of teams like G2. Wolves have that capability in them. They have that ceiling, but right now it just seems to be that for a team that's so consistently improved since Charlotte, always improving event after event, it's just not it for them.
You want to tell me what you were talking to me about before this?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So that is a target ban from Wolves. VP, as I'm sure many of you know, they have their attacks and they play them consistently. That is why VP are so threatening. You can counter-strat them and recognize the holes, but they're just so good at executing what is instinctual to them. How do you beat something whose attack is basically in their genetic code? But Wolves have banned the Nomad, which is a key piece of what VP like to do in their attacking meeting. They like to plant on the split doorway, the right side of it, but use Nomad to lock down Laundry, main stairs, and Z. So that facilitates the main plan VP like to go for, and taking down that Nomad will make it more difficult.
He's not just a pretty face, folks.
I know what I'm talking about.
He knows what he's talking about, let me tell you. Well, now with virtus.pro and Wolves loaded up and the ban phase completed, I like the rest of the bans here too, but these ones fairly straightforward. I mean, just with the quick mental math, we got the execute utility going away for Ying. Azami is just incredibly annoying on this map because she can make it to where, especially the top floor, is easily defendable. And then last, but surely not least, rounding things out with Kaid, and he's just a solid choice whenever you really need to lock down some walls. So either way, though, into round one we go. We'll also be starting us out on defense, and it's going to be a basement bomb site. First, VP, obviously by proxy, will be on offense, and this seemed like the natural line that VP was more than likely going to go with the lack of Nomad in play. We'll probably see the gridlock a lot more.
And especially with the nades, I mean, there's a good chance we might have seen her anyway.
Yeah, very true.
But especially without that Nomad, if VP have Nomad in place in any strat, gridlock is borderline a must pick to fill that niche and also to bring with that secondary utility. One thing we also see from VP on these basement attacks is they like to run a lot of Grim, but noticeably he's absent right now, and it seems to be a bit of a more standard lineup overall. I mean, you've got 6 nades to deal with explosive utility or to deal with that Clash or that Mira. Whereas with the Hibana, the Flores, I mean, that's pretty standard for any attack.
I think always forgot to set up his Hibana kit when he sat down.
You think so?
He's got a shotgun on right now.
Hey, listen, the Supernova's making a comeback.
Hey, whoa, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It's still a decent weapon, but you're going to get rid of the Type 89?
Yeah.
One of the best assault rifles in the game by DPS, I'm just telling you. If you didn't know, well, now you know. But, I mean, either way, he's just here to facilitate hatches, and that should be able to work out for them. Plus, I mean, the shotgun around the stairwells, always a good play.
We'll see if it ends up biting VP in the butt, but 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go until we likely get to when VP will hit that execute. A slow team on Oregon is only going to be even slower. This will likely be a game of late round executes, at least in these first 6 rounds. They have the Hibana, thankfully, even though she's maybe doesn't have the Type 89, she's always got the X-Kairos, and that'll be the operator to open up these hatches with that Kaid off the board. This should be easy and speed up a lot of this early on because you don't have to play the EMP minigame of finding the Electro Claw, taking it down, putting the X-Kairos on. And, I mean, look at these track stingers as evidence first and foremost. VP have moved on to this middle floor and basically have everything initially opened up.
Most VP round you can possibly get. Good cadence, working through the motions, and motions that we will more than likely see repetitively throughout this game. I'm sure down the line, same offense, you guys will be like, are they just copying what they did in round 1? And the answer is yes, they are, Carter. They probably are. Moby's going to get rid of a decent amount of the X-Kairos here to try and hold things up on Boiler. This is a fantastic spot if you can keep a hold of it downstairs. And I love that they have P4 here too, because he's able to just get solid info back and forth. Nobody can really shoot him unless he makes a very critical error, but he'll be able to at least let them know what's happening with VP's offensive moves here.
VP have started to rotate players down to bunker always, and Dan looking to cut off P4's rotation back through pillar. Deadshot as well, but Deadshot is with P4 for that very reason. Give a gun to the shield that can't shoot back. Flash is going on in. VP so far have failed to really pressure that player playing on the bunker doorway, always pushing up. This is what that Supernova can do, holding the close angle. Shepard's now creeped on in. Does virtus.pro know? Well, Wolves certainly have an idea. 3v3 now, but Joystick on low HP, puts the Clash in a corner. Never want to put Baby in a corner. Joystick now down on the floor. P4 can finish him off, but always gets the big pick inside a bunker. And P4's got to keep that gun out now. Crossfire held by VP, but with one close quarter weapon and intel relayed to the Clash, there's some chances for the Wolves to find their way back in this. They begin to fall back. Shepard puts the bomb down. Now the shield comes back out to probe for intel. But it's a little too slow. Now in a post plant, Shepard a bit stuck on this bomb at the moment as the Clash can keep pushing him forward, but P4 gives up the space. Now VP can basically totem pole this, but no, Shepard even rotates around to Laundry, diversifies a lot of the angles in store. You can hold out the shield all you want, but eventually that gun's gotta come out, and P4's gotta win 2 quick engagements as the time continues to dwindle down. Whoa, I didn't even recognize he got that kill, and a pre-fire on Always is very much in the cards. 20 seconds remaining, Always just baits it out, takes cover behind the reinforcement. Just one more shot for P4 to win this gunfight. Always pushes in and backs off right when he needs to. The time is now gone. Round 1 goes the way of VP, and as Oregon goes, getting these attacks as quick as you can, that's the #1 priority.
Yep. And it was never a mistake, man. It was for elbow. I absolutely love that. Fantastic spot to try and put a shotgun in play. Sometimes we see it with a Sledge, but I like it a lot more with Hibana because she can be a heck of a lot more active, right? Just a much faster character. She has those stuns to try and facilitate things as well. Whereas, yeah, Sledge, you have the frag grenades, but if you misplay that, then you might blow yourself up. So a little risky on that. But either way, though, I'm going to get a tech pause in here, folks, and try and get something fixed up here for, I believe, the Wolves side. I saw P4 kind of having some awkward reactions when he was trying to work his way on Clash. So I don't know if there was like an error with his keyboard or something, but we're going to get it panned out.
Yeah, I see P4 taking off his headset right now. Look at you, you perceptive fellow.
It's the ADHD, bro. Don't give it to me. My brain is just silly.
Literally, I'm listening to you in the green room. You're talking about like the minuscule impact of a mouse pad on your movement. And I'm like, dude, I just play the game. Like, I got my G Pro.
Dude, I'm just a freak, bro. That's all. That's legitimately.
Mouse pad that Larch gave me. Like, I'm just trying.
I got 10 mouses at home and 15 mouse pads. Now, here's the thing. I'm not one of those weirdos. It's like, oh, apparently P4 was having issues with his sensitivity. So user error on that one, and we'll be sure to make fun of you for that, P4. Make sure to check your settings before you play a professional match up against virtus.pro. I'm just saying.
There might be, listen, don't.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
There might be a technical issue.
Yeah.
Lord knows I've never played in this competitive
Me and P4 are actually the same person. He's like, actually, this is off by 1 millimeter, so we can't be playing with this, dude.
Please open up the command file so I can.
Dude, no, he's actually me. Look at him. He's literally just moving everything on the desk. He's like, this isn't right. No, I should have clutched that route. If my monitor was exactly 1 inch farther back, that was all me.
Listen, if you're competing at this level, you got to have an eye for the details, okay? This is why I wouldn't succeed. Aside from being terrible at the game, but that's a separate point.
Dude, do you remember SI, I think it was SI 2022, when one of the M&M guys showed up with a actual tape measure?
Did they actually?
Yes, they showed up with a tape measure and used their exact same measurements from home for everything.
That's so funny.
And I was like, that's my kind of guy right there. For sure. For sure.
Seems like that's me for real.
Dude, actually, listen, I'm telling you right now, you haven't lived life until you've tried a handful of mice, a handful of mouse pads, and found your perfect mix.
I'm on mouse number 2 and mouse pad number 2, so I got a long way to go when it comes to the gaming reps. But virtus.pro at least have one under their belt, basement attack. One, now moving on to dorms, if they can just get this second, I mean, usually when you think of Oregon, that might just be enough. And after that first round where the takes seemed to work, at least in terms of trading the advantage down while still retaining it, virtus.pro did quite a good job. Moving on to dorms, of course. What is the VP take going to be for this? Will it be laundry-sided? Will it be big window-sided? Who's to say? But we do know that with 2 roamers down below, virtus.pro will need to dedicate some attention to the first floor before they move to the second.
Yeah, they're going to take their time. Use this drone work of Shepard that he is always so good with. Just pay attention to whenever you see that little blue drone rolling around. 9 times out of 10 with this squad, it's Shepard, and he has some of the best drone work in the world. So if you're trying to learn how to play support, learn through this guy. There's quite a few other players around that you can definitely vouch for, but Shepard being the gleaming factor of how a support player goes about things. So he'll continue to assist. He'll be playing the Flores for the rest of this, and more than likely be blowing up a couple key pieces of utility. 2 Wolves have brought the Clash yet again. Didn't work out too well the last time, but that was because it reached a terrible moment for any Shield player, a 1vx situation.
Always a terrible moment to find yourself in when you've got to put that safety away and try and take fights. Of course, P4 and Bibu are capable, but that security is sorely missed. Almost half the round gone, and VP is still tunnel visioned on this middle floor, with some players looking up above, some utility moving up as well. Dan hoping the Rotera drone will force some tricky footwork out from the Clash, but none finds itself just yet. Now half the round gone. What do VP have? They're starting that clear, but finding P4 down below, finding Deadshot down below hasn't worked so far, and their defense is wasting a lot of time.
a great job of keeping things consistent here, keeping people alive, but Virtus.pro have been able to peel things away. As we know, if Virtus.pro are able to work up to their execution, they're one of the scariest teams in the world. So we'll see how Virtus.pro can get things done. We'll be wrapping things around this trophy area up front. You really want some pressure in on the attic side if you can get it, but we'll just have to see what they can really get as an extra level to this. They're still worried about that clash, especially on the front side, and why wouldn't you be? She can lock things up, make your life a heck of a lot more difficult than it needs to be, and she'll slow down this entire push.
But we finally see some clear coming in from VP. 2 players pushing down below in kitchen, mainly to find this clash. 1 HP now, no HP thanks to Pasha. It might take almost half the round, but a 5v3, maybe a 5v2, but Pasha turns his back. Deadshot's able to find 1 and just get away with highway robbery. He can play his life at this point, maybe waste a little bit more time. He'll drop down below, but that still leaves 2 defenders on the site. The trade-off for this position, and VP might just realize P4 spotted. Deadshot now cut down. The Fenrir not long for this world. The Clutch Minister simply has too many odds facing him, as Shinka cannot stop the VP onslaught.
And if you open the book of Virtus.pro, that round's probably the very first page. That is the most VP round that you can get. Great patience, sitting right on the border of the site, Carter, and constantly able to poke and prod and get these big kills. Wolves always trying to look for that moment to pull things back across the line, but that's the thing that Virtus.pro has always exploited the most.
And as always, it's the VP paradox. You think to yourself, they're taking too long, they're taking too long.
They're gonna push, they're gonna push.
They're gonna push, but then eventually they do, and more often than not, they win. It's easy to fall into that mindset. Lord knows you and I do plenty of times casting this team, but at the same time, it's forcing their opponents into that similar decision, that consciousness. Well, P4 Deadshot, we're down below, we're fine. They haven't pushed us out yet. Maybe they've forgotten about us, but then they send a 2-man team right into kitchen. Not only do they find them, they find the clash as well. But now 2 rounds in a row for VP. Wolves will not go to the tertiary bomb site just yet. They'll give basement another go. It seems VP might be running that attack back, but more importantly, how will Wolves adjust to what was a very backsided, but also very linear take from VP?
Please have the shotgun again, always. Please. Please. Yes. Yes. Let's go. Excitement from the Americans. We just love shotguns over here, let me tell you.
Well, and I mean, listen, it's just like, we thought it was accidental at first, then we're like, oh, was that a heads-up play in elbow, or was that intentional? Second round? It's intentional, all right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a forward-thinking man right there.
I just love it when teams get creative like that. They're like, oh, the guy in elbow is just really volatile to try and fight against. What if we took a gun that can kill him in 1 shot?
Hey, that guy in elbow always plays with a shotgun. What if we brought one?
Exactly, exactly. It's, I mean, you know, it might seem like a straightforward strategy, but it works. You know, sometimes you don't have to do big, sweeping, you know, big brain things. Sometimes it's a thing sitting right next door, right? So, Virtus.pro continue these drones as they spin about. A lot of drone work here. We got 3 people, Dan, Pasha, and Always, clearing things out right now while Joystick starts to work through. And once again, we're going to have the Track Stinger wielder here back in play. As to be expected with the recent buffs and stuff like that. And honestly, a really prime pick for Joystick. Have those frag grenades. The F90 is a heck of a rifle, too. Makes a lot of sense.
Joystick also just recreating the exact same path he did last time, Always as well. It's Oregon basement and VP on Oregon basement. This is what we should expect. Wolves also not running a very forward roam, so VP, there's nothing to counter. They're just doing their due diligence, clearing the corners they need to, taking the control that's necessary. But then once we get to the execute, that's where things got hectic for VP, and it really relied on that first pick they acquired, because that execute had a lot of bodies exposed to angles from Wolves, and they were able to trade it down, but only come away with the advantage because they started it off with that pick instead of being the first one to go. With Wolves 5-man holding the bomb site and VP looking to move for another 5v5 execute, they'll need to make sure again that they're the ones making the 5v4.
Well, this could get interesting, too, because Wolves don't have delay in the same way that they did previously. The Clash isn't here to try and hold things up around Boiler, so it's going to be down to the gunfights to try and solve this problem. Frag grenades out, Carter, signifying that we're about to light this powder keg. Stuns out, too. Always wants to clear these out and at least get some pressure towards Shinka. You can see they're quite worried about the potential of this team rolling in through here. I don't know if we have a pocket reinforcement for this. We do not. So Shinka's going to have to try and man this rotation.
Indeed he will, but Always actually sprints over towards E-Box, gets the trade on Deadshot as P4 takes down Pasha to start. So Virtus.pro recover, but Wolves are the ones taking the advantage. This is the problem with this execute. If you can't get the lead, you start facing problems. But Always is making making it happen. 2 kills for now out of the 3 acquired by VP so far. He's the one making this execute work, unbreaking the gridlock.
No way.
Speaking of, Shinka just boned inside of the bomb site. Bibu now 1v3. What is he to do? So many different angles, so many different positions in the post plan as well. 3-0 now for virtus.pro. The pressure not being let up against Wolves.
Always making it happen in there, for them as well. And that shotgun, once again, it's showing you just how good it can be in those close quarter situations. And the more and more you look at it, the more and more it just makes sense for downstairs. You got E-box to worry about. You have the close angles right inside the door for planning. You have all of elbow. There's so many different areas that you really have to concern yourself with where that shotgun is just so solid. So fantastic stuff. virtus.pro up 3 rounds now on their offense.
But interestingly enough, no tack timeout from Wolves. Down 0-3 on their Oregon defenses, and they've not hit the pause button.
No, they haven't. And, I mean, I don't exactly hate it.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just interesting because you'd think this would be a point where you'd hit the timeout, but maybe Liluna's hearing something saying, all right, they're figuring out their problems on the comms. I'm not worried about taking a tack timeout. It is just interesting because you'd think this might be a position where it happens, but maybe we might just see a comeback from Wolves and an adaptation of them figuring this out in the comms, not needing to hit that pause button. We will go to the tertiary bomb site now, though. We've tried out basement. We've tried out dorms. I imagine if this site doesn't go well, maybe that's when we see it. And if this site really does not go well, man, we're in rough shape for Wolves. Yeah, we're already kind of sitting in that stink as Mowgli and Bibu are both 0-3 right now. Not what you want to see, especially through 3 rounds. Just really not considering anything to the board, minus their utility that they're placing at the very beginning. So, virtus.pro been on a war path so far here on Oregon. Honestly, to be expected when it comes to this team. As we were talking about at the very beginning, Oregon's one of those mainline maps that's all about your fundamentals, and this is one of the most fundamentally sound teams in the world. Speaking of fundamentals, this is about as basic as a meeting take as you can get. It's actually not VP's split take. Instead, they're going for the normal stage plant with the Osa shield, and there's a Valkyrie cam relaying exactly what take Wolves are going for. And this is one of those executes and one of those bomb sites that once you see that Osa, you know what's going to happen. You know where the execute's coming from. So this information relayed to Wolves so early on is really powerful. P4 also shooting those drones to allow Deadshot to get into position, but more importantly, maybe be unknown in this aggressive angle. Will he try to peek around the breach? Impact goes out. Oh, tries to destroy the Osa shield, but Deadshot gets a kill instead. That is intel gained, an immediate follow-up from Wolves to take down the key operator that VP needed to make this execute work.
Love the synergy there from Wolves, and something we've been desperately looking for. They finally get 1 kill, and no response to this either. Pasha still has a nade here, but it's going to be Deadshot that gets another kill. It's going to be on the joystick on the tower stairs. Frag grenade out here. Is there any more Midas to catch us? There is. Deadshot now dead to rights, but it's a 2 versus 4 now, as Wolves will be able to pick up another one. That's going to be Mowgli's first kill here. Bibu hasn't had to consider anything just yet, as he's just been chilling out in the site, waiting the arrival of these last 2 players.
With the recovery achieved by Wolves, this is what we were hoping for if you wanted a close game or if you're just a Wolves fan. Just know they had a shot in this matchup, and now you've got the 4v2. You just need to keep it. Need to not start taking 1v1s. Need to start throwing it, and right now everyone from Wolves is staying in their positions. Mowgli and Deadshot, usually the 2 people on this team that can sometimes get too aggressive, but Deadshot, well, he's not a factor anymore, and Mowgli on low HP. I think that's reason enough to think Wolves will play this 4v2 passively and not throw it away. Shepard just pre-firing everything, hoping that pre-aiming an angle, firing 1 bullet will get it. Bomb now going down, but there's the recovery from Mowgli. Able to watch split. Pasha, not able to watch enough. I mean, he's just one guy with a gun. What is he to do? He knows someone's close around that corner. He's got one of the correct reads, but now he's a little too late on the one onto Mowgli. Is he gonna pre-fire this angle? Sees someone kitchen. Oh, sees another, but from Wolves beginning to end, that was the round they needed to get back in this game.
And it all starts with that clear from virtus.pro up top for Attic as they try and set things up for a stage plant, but well thwarted from Wolves and well played, especially from Deadshot, as the synergy comes through with the impact grenades to try and clear out the Osa shield, but it's really Deadshot that makes the highlight reel out of the moment as he's able to get 2 or 3 kills in that situation there, standing on top of the 2x4s, and finally able to get a round over on virtus.pro.
And that really was excellent coordination. I mean, seeing entirely the Valk cam to the impact lineup. And even though it landed, having somebody mechanically talented like Deadshot to still get the kill, even though the OSHA shield there, really great stuff from Wolves. And on the off-site, too. Now, if we can see those on dorms, on basement, Wolves are in a good spot to end this 3-3. It's not a great half, but it is doable if they can make this recovery and win the next 2 rounds in a row. VP seem to be going with their same lineup, and I doubt we'll see too many changes by the end. We'll see the Valkyrie once again from Mowgli, and if those cameras stay alive, we've seen just by that round how Wolves can react when they have the intel to counter certain plays. If there's no IQ on the board or anything like that, and Wolves are able to keep those cams alive, they have a really good shot at making some great heads-up plays again.
Most definitely. And it's rounds like that that start to power the engine, right? You want to have something under your belt, give you a little bit of confidence going into the later rounds, and this could be the kickstarter for Wolves. They're able to pick up that very first offensive round. As you said, though, I'm going to go back to better waters, I would say. A little less choppy over here as we're going to head up top towards dorms. Obviously, we're not going to have the Azami, as she has been banned out by virtus.pro, but still a lot of good ops, all things considered, especially the Fenrir coming out to play for P4.
Slapping mags!
Always a problem when you want to try to move into a very tight linear map, and Oregon certainly is one of those. A lot of doorways you need to push through, and not a lot of options to clear them, and that's probably part of the reason why VP have been so consistently running at least 4 to 6 nades. You just need so much explosive utility to clear out those Fenrirs, or could bring a Twitch, could bring a Brava, but might as well bring the nades, especially if Finka and Gridlock are so powerful operators right now. Dan weaving his way through the basement. Down below that freezer hatch, Wolves have been running this defense 2 times now, and he knows there's somebody inside security. The plan now from VP, pressure P4, push him down that hatch into Dan's waiting arms.
Now, all this VP pressure built up on the kitchen side here.
Tracks released!
Want to try and boil this over with this hold around Z as well as security. As Carter said, Dan waiting downstairs for anybody to try and drop off of this. Joystick's going to try and apply some frag grenade potential towards the hallway. All he's going to get is one of his own drones, so unfortunate for that regard. But they know that there has to be a player in here. Pasha's got the skeleton key out. He'll pressure in, and easy as pie. Very well done. A Joystick with 2, actually, as he'll clean up the entirety of White stairs. I don't know if he got the flick towards Freezer, but no, he got it towards Z as well as top White. And I mean, what else do you expect out of this guy?
Just a ridiculous player, has been for 4 or 5 years now, and he might have fallen out of the limelight, but he's never fallen off. Bibu, Shinka, the only 2 remaining. 2 players from Wolves that have not really been showing up so far. We're only 4 rounds in, but Shinka has his impact late, and he's got the first pick for Wolves as we reach 45 seconds left. Finka will get some of the attackers back to full HP, but it's got to be headshots if Wolves want to make this secure. They know at this point it's a big window White take. They can start focusing on these angles. Shinka's got big window, and I imagine Bibu will watch White stairs. Those are the 2 positions that you can bring this round back. There's also no frag grenades down below anymore. The only secondary utility you have to worry about are the flashes that'll blind you, and also, besides some utility, the position's now being taken by VP. A 3rd player now on the dorms window, trying to make that player in dorms as uncomfortable as possible. Shepard repels in, catches Shinka off guard, but the pinch finally works. The reset, the setup, the follow-through. VP likely the winner of this half.
Most definitely. And, I mean, just goes to show you virtus.pro's mentality. Their ability to reset things, get everyone set up for the execute, and then attack as a whole unit is paramount to their success. And it's showcased fully on that Dorms offense, especially with the swing in from the Dokkaebi. That's something that you don't really see all that often, but it's such a distracting factor. And that's why I love it so much for the situation like this. You drop the logic bomb, you start pressuring everything from every angle. Got people flying in double window, people coming up White stairs, people flying in the dorm's window. It's just such a solid game plan for moving into a situation like
and timed with those flashes too. I mean, sometimes when you think of that repel and you're thinking, oh, he's just distracting so the big window guy can hop in, but because of the flashes, either could be the distracting play, either could be the killer. It doesn't matter. VP coordinated so well that they're basically winning no matter where Shinka ends up peeking, if he can even peek because of the flashes. So great execute from VP. 5-1 half, very realistic now at this point. His basement has gone their way twice now, but so often on this half, it has been close for VP. The first time, it actually went better than their second attempt because there at least they got the first pick, but the second time always had to overperform to make it a 3v2. So this is Wolves' most workable defense aside from meeting so far.
Okay, so roam game here from the Wolves, and I think that's why we've seen always shift gears here, because it is a basement offense. We know that they've really been liking the Habana shotgun for this situation here. But with all of this roaming potential coming out from the Wolves right now, this means that they could get some very, very big kills, all things considered, in the early portions of round 6. Especially with Lion and Dokkaebi, it's going to make the clear so easy. Shepard's just going to focus his fire downstairs and trying to get rid of some of this utility, especially some things up high like the dreadnoughts here. The fear gas thingies that I can't remember the name of right now.
I got you. Dread mines.
Dread mines. Thank you. Thank you. Either way, though, those things definitely going to want to be removed from the doors. They don't have to worry about swinging in and being blinded. And for the rest of virtus.pro, just trying to get a read as to where the remaining bodies of the Wolves are across this map. I mean, look at them as they're sprinkled across the entire mid-floor.
I mean, all 5 either on a stairwell that can go back to the bomb site or on the middle floor or the top floor in the case of the Solus. As the Dokkaebi call goes out, always got to beat on Mowgli's position. Can't capitalize off of it. Does a 50 damage, but then always able to finish him off while taking some damage himself. virtus.pro so far dismantling this roam game as Deadshot tries his luck at the trade. Does roll up good numbers. 4v4 and kitchen control retaken. It's also the Solus on the top floor, but Pasha looking to succeed with a Lion fail, though a huge pickup from Deadshot. Now Wolves can start falling back. This roam game's worked. They've wasted 1:40 seconds. They've got a 4v3. Bibu might be on the top floor playing his life, but at this point, even if he loses, it's a 3v3 with no time for VP.
This is such a solid round from the Wolves. Big distracting measure here from virtus.pro. They had to address this entire take. Rather hold from Wolves. They know that, at least around here somewhere, Joystick going to take some very serious damage, but immediately decapitated by Joystick right when he swings the door. It's a 3 versus 3, and there is a realm of reality where virtus.pro still has a chance to win this.
But there's not a lot of hard breaching, though, so whatever angles that aren't opened up on the roam or were opened up to allow rotations back to the site, they can't be opened up by VP, but Freezer's open and Laundry seems to be as well, and this might be enough to make the attack work. 30 seconds remaining, too. Getting that pickup onto Bibu up above so quick might end up saving this round for virtus.pro. Another nade goes out. Joystick's got one more in pocket, likely going into that small office. P4, is he going to contest? Yes, he will. VP have clawed the man count back. There's intel on Joystick, but it might not matter. They've got control of the Laundry bomb site. Deadshot's got to go big.
No way.
Deadshot shut down. Shinka, they're all on him. They've all got the angles lined up. Bibu dies just a little too quick, and VP stormed to a 5-1 half.
Just not using the full noggin at the tail end of that, man. Wolves really needed to consider what virtus.pro still had in pocket. And they're just kind of waiting to get shot at, really. I mean, especially with the frag grenades rolling in there from our good friend Joystick. That's just not a situation that you want to see the Wolves get themselves into.
No.
And then they just start losing bodies left and right. Nothing's really tradable. They can't play off of each other in a moment like that. virtus.pro fully exploiting that site when it came to the most critical moment.
And ultimately, I don't think it's entirely Bibu's fault. I think VP reacted to the Solus.
No, definitely not. Bibu did a great job.
No, it's just one of those situations where, like, if you're gonna play your life and the attack ends up finding you, there was so much more potential time that could have been wasted. That just because of VP played really well, it wasn't wasted nearly to the same extent. So it's not like Bibu did a bad job. It's just because VP reacted so quick. I mean, look at that transfer onto where Bibu was playing. You can't account for that as the Solus. It just ends up being where VP end up winning a round that they had no business winning. And 5-1 now. Wolves moving to the attacking side. I mean, what else is there to say?
Yeah,
this is looking like
hard,
a difficult game to come back from.
It's difficult. And like even with that, like that roam that we saw from Bibu, I'm not even mad at that because he existed until 58 seconds left on the clock.
No, I'm not mad either.
Did a great job, you know what I mean? But like you were saying, just that little extra piece, maybe if he's able to get some, considerable damage or maybe a kill, something like that, could have been the big deciding factor for the Wolves, but they trust the site setup, and the site setup fails, unfortunately enough, as virtus.pro are inevitable, and it's to be expected with this roster when it comes to things like this. Yesterday was definitely a warm-up match. This looks a hell of a lot more like virtus.pro.
And Wolves in a very dire position. I mean, they've obviously had a rough tournament so far. It's been very difficult. They could come back from this, but it would require, if they want to win this in regulation, 6 rounds in a row. But if they lose here, if VP just get 2 more, Wolves' problem, or at least that has been talked about for years now, has been the best of 3s. Best of 1s have been their stronger point in previous tournaments, and now, even if they lose...
There you go.
Just has it. But even if they lose from here on out, Wolves are going to best of threes, which historically, at least, has been their weaker strong point. It's just not looking good for Wolves at this point.
No. The case is most definitely getting built up for the Wolves to be sent home to France quite soon. We'll have to see, though. That's the beauty of tournaments like this. You never know what's really going to happen. They could wake up tomorrow in their GK clothes and decide that they're a fresh-faced squad. virtus.pro, though, looking as solid as ever. We're starting things out on this defensive side. Wolves will get the hatches open and start droning things up down low. A lot of solid utility coming in here from virtus.pro. I especially like that they have Jaeger and Wamai in play here. I think this is a fantastic setup for downstairs because it makes it to where they have to clear out a whole plethora of things. A lot of the throwables and launchables like the crossbow here for Deadshot are all going to get soaked up, at least if the utility can persist. Obviously, we saw that Twitch doing a pretty good job of clearing things out, but now Wolves, they've delayed quite some time. We're down to the last minute, and this execute needs to go off without a hitch.
Always in particular will be a big threat for this backside take. He can look towards the back tower stairs or the E-box hatch, and likely the person playing at bunker as well. That's Joystick on the Wamai. Both these two players can be the primary undoing for this execute from Wolves. Time getting lower. Mowgli now down. Shepard going huge. Nice C4 from Dan. It's neither of the players I mentioned until one of the last few kills appear. Joystick gets one. Everyone on virtus.pro getting a piece of the action. Pasha's the only one who overperforms. 6-1 now for VP. And it's not happening for
They look
Wolves.
perfect, man. Well, and here's the problem. How do you fight virtus.pro when they're on their game? People have had this issue for years, Carter. Literal years. And once again, Wolves running into that same exact brick wall that has claimed name after name after name throughout the last 5 or so. So, kids' dorms, potentially our last site here is virtus.pro. Are making this easy breezy beautiful so far. A 6-1 score line for them. Joystick double-digit kills right now as he's 10-3-3.
Saw always react very.
Should have had a V8.
I looked at him. He looked very flustered for a second. That was weird. Oh, that's
Dan still has the same Bionicle that he did all the way back in Milan, dude.
That's the boy right there.
I might cry right now.
Boy Dan.
Oh, dude, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. Well, also, speaking of, not Milan. There's a complete non sequitur, actually, so not speaking of anything. Wolves now also want to talk about some poor performers. Obviously, that execute not great for Wolves as the entire setup from VP stays intact. Mowgli 2-7 right now. Deadshot the only one positive, but everyone else from Wolves aren't able to find these frags. And credit where credit's due for Deadshot on that defensive side. He was finding some important kills to try and keep the man advantage, but even then, I think it's been important, but the rest of the team, in terms of the frag department, has really not been showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really been the key issue, is that virtus.pro have found pressure points across the setups of the Wolves and has been able to exploit them to a very high degree. A lot of these fights seem completely unwinnable for the Wolves. Really, the best set of kills that we saw was Deadshot taking those peaks inside of Attic, Carter. That's really been it. Past that, it's been virtus.pro all the time.
There's good coordination here, there's good gunfights there, but for Wolves, it's been too far in between. virtus.pro just have to win the Dorms defense. Win this 7-1. We've not had, I don't think, a 7-0 inside of Phase 2 so far. Had it inside the tournament, but yesterday we had plenty of 7-1s, plenty of 7-2s. VP might just add one more tally to that score line. I do have the Grim on the board, finally. Talked about at the beginning that VP do like to run that Grim, but it's actually Wolves in round 8. Team to bring that out first on Dorms, maybe to try to just completely flood. Honestly, either of the sides. You could flood Big Window with bees and go for a hop in. You could flood Trophy and kind of Concrete, go for a plant there. A lot of different options for where they could go.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And if you guys have been watching any of Dark Zero's games for the last, couple of months here, you will fully see why Grim is a very solid operator.
Especially on this map.
Yeah, so annoying. Yeah, exactly. It's very condensed in certain areas, especially around like dorms and stuff like that. And the bees will, plume in such a way that it makes it practically unplayable unless you want somebody to know exactly where you are for the majority of the time that you exist there.
Minute 50 in, Sam.
Not too much happening, buddy.
Thankfully.
Wolves are keeping it a little bit slower pace, which you can't exactly fault them. They're trying to make sure they know exactly what's happening with this VP setup.
They finally found Always too. Always, if he gets a kill here, this is just going to be brutal for Wolves, but they thankfully down him. But 50 seconds to go. You got to start picking up the pace. They barely got even time to down him, but oh, there we go. Deadshot cooking the nade. Will it bank off? Pasha's got to fall off. Always gone. Oh, somebody flanking behind now. This is a very easy 5v3. Are they going to check? No, he hops back out, actually. Pasha now able to stay alive inside of showers. Those rotations cut off. Goes the hop out. A major misplay by Wolves. They leave the Fenrir to his own devices. They think it's secure. But VP don't do the most damage possible. It's a 3v3. It's even. But now we might say sayonara to Wolves inside of the 0-1 bracket. Shinka stuck outside a big window. It might be best of 3 city here on out for Wolves. Unless the man of the hour, ice in his veins, can win it. It's just not gonna happen. Another 7-1 in phase 2. VP recover from yesterday, but Wolves' downward descent still cratering to the bottom.
What a showcasing of Virtus.pro's play style and their ability to completely shut down their opponent. The Wolves come just in a tizzy, really, and really highlighted by that last moment there in the hallway. They think that Pasha's just not gonna try and make a play. Nobody's even considering him trying to kill them outside. Pasha's like, I'll hop a window. I don't really mind, especially if you don't want to try and watch it. Gets 2 huge kills and then caps it off.